Welcome to another week of trying to bring back makeup tutorials. If you want to see how to get this look with only drugstore makeup products, then keep on watching. If it looks like I've been crying, that's because I just finished crying. I am on my period. My upstairs neighbor's music has been so loud. I got overstimulated, but I'm fine. Everything is fine. We're gonna do a little bit of makeup therapy. To prep the skin, I'm gonna start with a grippy primer. I recently tried the NYX Face Glue Gripping Primer and I really like it. I'm kind of in between the Maybelline Serum Grip Primer and this one. This I thought was going to be stickier. It was kind of a disappointment because it's not as sticky as I expected it to be, but I love it because it has a very serum-like texture. It feels very hydrating and moisturizing, which was a surprise. We are going to be using a matte foundation, so we want something that just gives us a more hydrated base. You see this little zit right here? It's from stress. My skin literally reacts within an hour. Stress. So I'm actually gonna put a pimple patch here because it kind of calms it down. Just wait for the skin to get tacky. Also, if you're a beginner with makeup, you do not need to start with a primer if you want to cut your steps down. I just like using a gripping primer specifically around my nose and these areas because foundation tends to fade quicker in those areas. So if you want something long lasting, then a gripping primer is going to help. But as long as you have a nice hydrated, slightly tacky base, you can just go in with your foundation. My drugstore foundation combo is actually a mixture of these two. I recently just bought this and tried this today, so keep that in mind, but I am loving it so far, specifically for the texture, the finish, and the feel, because it's considered a matte foundation, but it actually gives me the vibe of a skin tint. So if you want your makeup to look good in real life, I recommend something like this, especially if you don't like to wear a lot of makeup and you're just getting into makeup. This is the option I would give you specifically for oily combo skin. Now, if you want something that's a little bit more long lasting, looks good on camera, gives you more coverage, then the Maybelline Super Stay is my personal pick. These two shades are not my shades, so I'm actually going to mix both of these together. I did go to the drugstore today, so some of these products are new to me and you're going to have to just subscribe to get more updates on my thoughts. I'm going to take a little spatula brush and mix it all together to hopefully get closer to my shade. The reason why I personally prefer a soft matte foundation is just because I have more oily combo skin, leaning more on the combo side, and I have textured skin. So matte foundations usually give me more of that blurred vibe, especially on camera. And if you are inspired by these looks that you see online, a lot of the times they're wearing matte foundations, and then what we're going to do is customize where we want the glow, just so that we don't look overly glowy or greasy. And this is what the foundation looks like. As you can tell, you actually can't even tell it's matte, but that's because of all of my skin prep underneath. And the NYX Face Glue is so hydrating, it works really well with these in combination. My one tip with matte foundations, especially at the drugstore, is that you have a very hydrated serum-like base, because if your skin is not prepped well, matte foundations are gonna look cakey, they're gonna look heavy, and they're just gonna basically catch on all of your dry patches. And if you go into the drugstore, you're not sure what shade you are, I recommend going, if anything, picking the shade that is slightly on the lighter side, because I do find it easier to customize the shade and add bronzer to balance out your makeup with the lighter foundation than it is with a foundation that's too dark. I'm going to be bronzing with the Maybelline Lifter Stick in the shade 65. My next tip when you are shopping for bronzers at the drugstore is not to buy things that are marketed as cream bronzers. Buy like a foundation stick, because you have a lot more shade options in the foundation stick and they're not as orange as the bronzers that are at the drugstore. I really like this shade because it leans more neutral. I do not like an orange bronzer, okay? And I like to apply it on the chin and just a little on the nose for some color. My rule when it comes to bronzer is to not put too much. I don't like that like super suntan bronze look. I want bronzer to just bring back dimension into my face. And I don't really want to contour either. I don't care about any of that. I just want dimension back to my face because foundation flattens out the skin and bronzer will bring you back to life. I also really love Real Techniques brushes. I'm using one right now. This is the RT459. It comes in a pack. They are the best with liquid and cream products, and they last a long time as well. This is from their Duo line, which I believe they just launched, and they're the best. I love that they're very easy to travel. They have 2 sides, and I think for like 5 different brushes I got a set for $28. I forgot to mention this brush right here. It's also Real Techniques brush, the 110. I use this to spread out my foundation because it kind of evenly distributes the foundation so you don't have too much foundation in different areas of your face. And then you go in with a foundation brush to kind of push in the product and blend it out. The thing about drugstore eye makeup though is that I absolutely hate their eyeshadow palettes. Most drugstore eyeshadow palettes that I've tried have sucked. They haven't been pigmented enough. They don't last long on the eyes. They're hard to blend. They don't have a color story I like. It's a whole thing. The only somewhat drugstore palette I like is not technically drugstore, it's Morphe. These are some of the best affordable eyeshadow palettes. I love this and I might use this later on as well. But if we're talking solely drugstore that you can get at like CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, I recommend checking out their eyeshadow sticks because they have some of the best eyeshadow sticks. The one that I recently bought today for this video is the Maybelline Tattoo. I was really impressed by this. It's in the shade. What is the shade, you may ask? It's just a dark brown color. This is a tip that I peeped from watching makeup artists do eye makeup. Some of them like to use a cream eyeshadow base first to kind of create the shape of the eyes and also prime the eyes for the rest of the eyeshadow. So I'm just going to create the shape that I want, which is kind of like this cat eye vibe, going in with whatever brush I have and just blending it very lightly. I like this eyeshadow stick because it gives you a decent amount of blend time before it sets down. And as you can tell, once you start blending it, the color kind of fades away. There might be concealer on this brush though. And I'm just gonna keep darkening it up and maybe apply some in the crease as well. I'm kind of making this up as I go, I'm not gonna lie. Beautiful. You see how easy that was? Another recent discovery that I literally just bought today is this LA Girl Ultimate Intense Stay Auto Liner in the shade Black. Again, it gives you a great amount of blend time. It's so easy to draw a wing with. I have to focus, so give me a second. It's really easy to draw a wing with, but you can also easily smudge it out. And this liner was, I think, around $5. And to add a little sparkle, I'm using the Maybelline Shadow Drip Eye Tint. This is in the color Quartz Strip. Now, this is a hit or miss. Like, I think that if you bought this, you could love it, you could hate it. Give it a chance. The darker shades are very difficult to work with, but the lighter shades, I kind of use them and view them as eyeshadow toppers. They are difficult to blend, but you don't need to blend it. If you use tapping motions, you do not need to move these at all. And what I'm doing is just applying it up to my brow bone. I think that this liquid eyeshadow is beautiful and so worth it because look at that finish. It gives you that really beautiful ethereal wet look and it's long lasting without any fallout. Now that we've done that, I'm gonna go back in with the black liner and just add a little line right here. I'm also gonna test this liner as a tight line because I don't know if it's gonna work well that way. I want to add a little bit of dimension, so we're going back in with the eyeshadow stick and just applying it to the bottom. And these two products are a lot more long lasting than your typical powder eyeshadow. Now we're gonna move on to under eye concealer now that we've done our eyeshadow. And the reason why I do this after my eyeshadow is because if there is any fallout or any eyeshadow I want to clean up, it's better to clean it up with concealer. I'm using the NYX Bare With Me concealer and I like to just put it on the back of my hand. and then take a flat shader brush, evenly distribute that, and apply it under the eyes. Now, every concealer is going to be different. Some concealers are better if you blend it right away, and other concealers work better when you just let it sit under the eyes. I specifically noticed that with more hydrating or like glowy finish concealers, you want to kind of set that on the eyes so that you can get more coverage, and that is what I'm going to do with the NYX Serum Concealer. I'm someone who definitely has more of a preference for high-end and even luxury makeup. I don't necessarily think paying more means you're paying for a better product per se. I do think makeup is very much dependent on the user, right? It's very much like you can make any makeup product work if you know what you're doing, and you just have to kind of get creative with it. So price doesn't really matter necessarily, but sometimes I do notice a difference in the quality or the performance, and a lot of higher end makeup products might not be technically higher quality, but they're easier to work with. So I usually think higher end products are worth the splurge, but that doesn't mean drugstore doesn't have some bangers. And if I'm being honest, it's taken me a long time to even make this video because there's a chunk of drugstore makeup I've tried that has completely disappointed me. I have a whole box, okay? And the only reason why I keep buying drugstore makeup is because I want to find good stuff for you. I want to curate, I want to edit so that you don't have to waste your money. Unlike me, taking the Real Techniques, what is this brush? What is this brush? I don't know. It just says their spot conceal brush. It's a really cool kind of, what is this? Shape, that's what it is. I'm so out of it today. Anyways, it's just hard to shop for drugstore makeup because you can't test the products. It's expensive now, and sometimes if you're not careful, the products cost more per gram or per ounce than if you were to just had gone to Sephora and gotten, maybe paid more, but you had more products. So that's technically a better value. But again, one could argue makeup takes a long time to finish. So sometimes getting less product is not a bad thing. So I just think in general, you can't really say like one is better than the other, or it all depends. You have to just ask yourself, like, what are you looking for? What is your budget? And what do you consider high value? Because for some people that might be a lot of product, and for other people that might be less product, but it's easier to work with. We are all blended and the skin is looking pretty good so far. We're getting to the best part though. I've had a really difficult time finding the right blush for my skin tone. The drugstore, their blushes are few and far between, and if there are blushes, they are so chalky or sheer, and it's not even worth paying the $3, $4, $5 for, okay? Or they're just uber pigmented. So if you have medium skin tone, you're screwed. However, I think I finally found the drugstore one for me. This is the NYX Buttermelt Blush. You know that I already like this kind of line of makeup, but I didn't have a color that I liked. This is in the shade Butter Together, and it's this really beautiful soft pink, but it's not super cool toned, which is honestly the best part. I highly recommend the NYX Buttermelt blushes if you have a really deep skin tone, because these are impeccable. They're going to show up on your skin. But for people like me, it's a little much sometimes. So what I'm doing is taking a really fluffy Morphe brush. This is the Morphe A27. Just gonna pat it in there. Another thing I want to note, if you have textured skin, is that a matte foundation is gonna help kind of blur and soften your texture so that you can get away with a glowier blush. Taking the blush and I'm just patting it around the apples of my cheeks. Again, you customize the placement of where you want the blush. I like it here, concentrated here mostly. The thing with this blush is that if you build it up, it does look more like a highlight. It's kind of glowy, so I try to build it up higher on the cheekbones to act like a highlighter, and then I just kind of take the rest and I go like this. You can't tell me that's not beautiful. I think that is so freaking gorgeous. This is a color that I don't even have from my high-end blushes. Why did no one tell me about this blush color? Another tip is that you really need to get to know your products. Sometimes it's not the products and it's you. That's just the ugly truth, okay? Sometimes if the product is not working for you and it's working against you, it's you. Get to know the product. Ask yourself, is this a really pigmented product? Is it a sheer product? Is it a glowy product? Is it a matte product? And get to know what the heck that thing does so that you can actually learn how to customize it to work the way that you want it. Not the way that it's marketed, not the way that people tell you to use it, the way that you want to use it. Because at the end of the day, you are the artist. And no one can tell you otherwise. For example, because I know this is a glowier blush and I realize the more I apply, the more of a highlight it gives, I know to pack the pigment on the higher points of my cheekbone for that highlighter effect and not so much in these areas of my face that are textured. A little bit on the nose, a little bit on the chin. And I know it's gonna be a lot, but hear me out. You gotta layer your makeup. Oop. I lost a brush. Layer your makeup, specifically your blush, your lipstick, your eyeshadow. Sometimes when you're watching someone or you see a photo, the reason their makeup looks impeccable is because they are layering different shades. If you can't find the perfect shade, customize the damn shade. I'm going to customize my shade by using the CoverGirl Skin Enhancer Blush in the shade Rose Latte. And I'm using this as a contour shade. So earlier, I only put bronzer here and a little bit over here because I knew I was going to use this blush. And I don't want the bronzer to make my blush look muddy. And so I'm just going to apply the blush right here to contour my cheeks a little bit. That's with the second blush without. They both look beautiful, but I feel like this one just gives a little. Another misconception is that if you have textured skin, you can't wear products that give you highlight. The reason why that is a misconception is because, yeah, technically matte products are going to blur your skin more, but again, you gotta customize the look, customize the routine. My foundation is matte, so it's already doing all of that blurring for me. So layering on a glowy product doesn't make my texture look worse. It actually makes my skin and my makeup look more plump and fresh. I'm even going to zoom into my makeup so that you can really see how my skin looks, how my texture looks. And obviously you're not going to blur it completely, but there's nothing cakey or texture enhancing from this in my opinion. And at the end of the day, who cares, right? Like who cares? You can't do anything about it. Texture is texture. It's your skin and it's beautiful. Since we're on the topic of NYX, we're gonna finish the eyeshadow, but I also recently tried these. This is the NYX Buttermelt highlighters, and you guys, I promise this is not sponsored by NYX. They're just one of my favorite drugstore brands, and everything they've been coming out with, bangers. This Buttermelt highlighter, one of the best powder highlighters I've ever tried, and I am not a highlighter person. Do y'all see that? 2016 has returned. This is the pink one. It's so smooth for some reason. And it can be built up to be very blinding if that's the look you're going for. So what I want to do is actually add gold on the inner corner here and also kind of apply gold all over here because this sparkle is pink, but I actually want my eyes to be more gold. So just gonna take the highlighter. That's another thing. Don't use the product how it's marketed every time. A highlighter is just a huge eyeshadow in disguise. Do not allow brands to tell you how to use your makeup. Obviously consider safety, but you can decide how to use your makeup. And this blush already has enough highlighter, but just to show you what the pink looks like, the pink is really great if you are someone who has a cool undertone. For me, it's like a little too icy for me, but with a small amount, looks gorgeous. Ooh, yeah, these are bomb. See, I'm already in a better mood. I just needed to do my makeup. I needed makeup therapy. And I hope that if you clicked on this video and you were in a bad mood, I hope that it puts you in a better mood because life's too short to be stressing. Okay, we're almost done, I promise. Now we're gonna do powder. A lot of people really love the L'Oreal Infallible Blurfaction, and I do agree this is a great powder. So if you want a powder, this is not a bad option. My issue with this powder though is that I don't like it with the Maybelline foundation. There's just something about this powder and matte foundation that just looks too, I don't know, it just doesn't look good. Also, the color, the pink, not for my skin tone. And I need to buy the yellow one. So what I'm gonna do instead, this is technically affordable. It's the Morphe Bake and Set in the shade Banana. I love the color of this because I obviously do have more of a golden olive tone. You can use any brush you want, but I particularly like the BK Beauty 114. This is a unique brush. I haven't really found a dupe of it, but anything with like this kind of flat vibe to it will give you the same effect. I take the powder, put it on my hand to get off any excess. Again, you don't want too much powder. And then I just press this, starting with my under eyes and my oily areas. This will prevent your makeup from caking up. Not everyone needs to bake their face. And this, in my opinion, gives kind of like that baked effect without applying a crap ton of powder. So you're not only saving money on the powder, but your makeup's gonna look good as well. So here's the difference. I do think this is beautiful though, but in person, I do think this side looks better. Pores where? Not hair, that's for sure. And I like to apply it around the blush because we don't want to take away from this glow. If you do have a lot of texture, you can apply a little bit of powder on top of your highlighter, and that highlighter will peep through, kind of like an underpainting vibe. I have a video on how to like wear highlighter to not enhance your texture, but I didn't have to do that today because my foundation was pretty blurring. Also, if you're new to my videos, I just wanted you to know that my philosophy to an approach to doing makeup is to do what makes you feel beautiful. So if you're watching these steps and you're like, girl, that is too much makeup, I do not like the way that I look with all of that makeup, that's totally fine. Cut the steps. Cut it. You could try it and then kind of ask yourself if you like it or not. Definitely explore. But if it's too much for you and it doesn't work for you, that is okay. And that's kind of the point. And I like to feel pretty and I like to feel beautiful. That is also part of makeup, but sometimes I also like to have fun with makeup, and that means that my makeup isn't always gonna look pretty or beautiful to society. Sometimes it's gonna look a little wonky, a little quirky, a little colorful, and that is okay because makeup is also supposed to be creative and fun and expressive, and I just don't want us to take it so freaking seriously. So if you want a refreshing space where you can just do your makeup, enjoy what you have, learn about new products every once in a while, then I hope you subscribe and you stay a while because I love making makeup tutorials. I want to bring them back. Okay, now this is optional, but I am gonna set the bronzer with a powder because I just want a little bit more color, a little bit more vibes. I personally really like the Physicians Formula bronzers. This one's in the shade Deep Bronzer. I recommend the NYX ones if you have a deeper skin tone because Physicians Formula is not very inclusive, if I'm being honest. But I like this one because it's not super orange. And a lot of bronzers at the drugstore are way too orange for my taste, except this one. So that's why it's my favorite. A little bit on the nose, a little bit on the chin. Curled the lashes. This one's kind of self-explanatory. Unfortunately, my favorite drugstore mascara was actually discontinued. So my next favorite drugstore mascara is the L'Oreal Panorama. I like this one because it does a really good job at adding volume to the lashes, as you can tell. But there's also added length as well. I like to say as well. That's been like my favorite way to end sentences. As well. When you are applying mascara, I think my biggest tip is to just make sure to comb out your lashes. I didn't do that and now it doesn't look that great, but whatevs. Let's put the LA Girl eyeliner to the test and tightline. Again, you don't have to do this step, but tightlining will give your lashes more volume and also blend in your mascara. The thing with the LA Girl liner, it might differ from yours, but this liner does give you some blend time. So before I like close my eyes all the way, I want to just make sure it dries, or else it's gonna smudge to the lash line, which I don't want. So we're gonna this is no liner and liner. Can you tell the difference? I don't know. I can. Now pay attention, because this is the most important part. This is the question that everyone asks me, and it's, what's the lip combo? I always have a different lip combo on, and I realize it's not always the lip combo that people are asking about. I think it's how I do my lip combo that works every single time. So when I went to the drugstore today, I was determined to find a comparable lip combo to how I like to do my lips with high-end products. So I have these NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner. The first shade I'm going to use is in the shade Sandstorm. This is product number 1. The trick is to use 4 products usually. You can combine the products however you want, but 4 products always gives enough dimension to give your lips that juicy plump. So I'm going to use a base liner today. This is the shade Sandstorm, and just line your lips like normal. And I understand that not everyone has lips like mine, but I think that this might still make a difference even if you have smaller lips. This just adds a little bit of sculpt. It literally looks like, whoa, the color of my lips. How did I do that? It's like the color of flesh. So that's the base. And the thing with the base color that you can get away with is that if it looks close enough to your lip color, you can overline slightly, because it just looks like your lip color. Next up is product number 2, is a definition pencil. So this is in the shade Mason, and this is the perfect neutral brown color. It has to be a darker color than what you put as the base. I use this as a way to define certain parts of my lips, like the cupid's bow, contour down here, and then I also do it over here, just because I think my bottom lip is smaller than my top lip. I like to add a little bit of shape, and I'll also color it in just slightly, and voila! Product number 3, L'Oreal Satin Lipstick in Ferris Nude. I'm just going to add a little bit. So the thing with 4 products is sometimes it can get a little goopy, a little messy, so you just apply light layers. You can just kind of pat it like this if you want, or just apply a small amount like this. What did I tell you? And product number 4 is this baby pink Essence Volume Lip Gloss in the shade Flower Blossom. Wow, I'm feeling very spring today. Again, gloss can be goopy, so we don't want too much. I like to scrape it off, apply a little, and this just really just blurs the line on my lips. And expect to always go back in with the lip liner, because sometimes the color disappears when you blend in the lipstick too much. Okay, so hair is down. How are we feeling? We're feeling beautiful? Because I'm feeling beautiful, and I think you would look particularly beautiful in this makeup look, or your own version of this makeup look, so I hope you try it out. And you know the drill. Cue the montage. I don't have to tell you what to do. You know what to do. I love you so much, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!